Edgar Allan Poe was born in Boston, United States on January 19 of 1809 and died on October 7 of 1849 in Baltimore, United States. He was an American writer, critic, journalist, and poet. He is recognized as one of the fathers of the modern story, as well as the creator of the police genre. In addition, he was a great writer of both science fiction and horror works. About his parents died when he was very young and was adopted by a neighborhood family. They moved to London in 1816, where he studied at one of the Chelsea's internships, and there's where he learned to write in Latin and speak French. Edgar Allan Poe used to have a lot of game problems because, well, he needed the money to survive and he earned it from gaming. It also said that in this university he had a reputation for being arrogant and pretending on many occasions to know more than he really knew. In 1833, he earns his first $50 for a manuscript he wrote, and John F. Kennedy positioned him as a editor on the Southern Literary Messenger. Because of his behavior, he was fired. He used to be a drunk man and had a lot of problems on how he behaved. On 1834, his stepfather, John Allan, died without leaving him any inheritance. He continued writing, and in 1845 he published his most famous poem, El Cuervo, for which he will be recognized through the country, but of which he would receive only $9 for his publication. Then he started having a relationship with the poet Francis Sargent, and he will continue writing on all this time. On 1849, Paul returned to Richmond, where he met his love of youth, Sarah Elmira Royster, and they both get married. And then on 1849 of October 3, he was found on the streets of Baltimore. He was very sick, and then he was transferred to Washington College Hospital, where he died on October 7 of the same year. One of the stories that I liked the most was The Mask of the Red Dead. It was published for the first time in 1842. The genre is Gothic tale, and also a film based on the story was filmed, also called The Mask of the Red Dead, in 1964. This is a story in which a mysterious plague attacks the city of the King Prospero. Realizing that the plague was attacking his entire region, he decided, the Prince Prospero, to lock himself in his castle, along with several hundred nobles from his court who tried to escape from the Red Dead. One night, the king decided to make the best custom party ever made. For this, his castle consists of 7 rooms, painted each other different colors, and stands in glass windows of the same tall of the walls, with the exception of one room, the Black Room, which has the stained glass windows painted red, creating a terrifying and ghostly atmosphere. While the guests enjoy the party, people continue to die outside of the castle, attacked by the disease and without any help. Everyone inside the castle dance and stroll through the rooms, except for the Black One, where there is also an ebony clock that reads every hour, interrupting the party and producing them and terror. During the party, a strange person with a mask appears and insults the prince, who requires the stranger to identify himself. The guest not only reveals himself as a victim of the disease, but as a personification of the death itself. From that moment, all the occupants of the castle contract the disease and die. The main characters, are the Prince Prospero, who is the owner and the lord of a great kingdom, a young man physically described as robust, intrepid, indolent, and evil. Some consider him crazy, but his closest ones know that he was not. He has an eccentric taste, and he wastes a lot of money because he had a lot of power. The other main character is the Red Dead. is the principal and deadly plague that wipes out half of the people of Prince Prospero Kingdom. Then, at the end of the story, appear as a masked spectrum, covered in blood and dressed in a cape. The other characters are all the friends of the prince, the ladies and gentlemen of the nobility who were chosen by the prince to isolate themselves in the castle, the group of courtiers, the men who protect the prince, the musicians, and well, all the town that was killed by the Red Death. Well, I think that the main topic here is the Red Death, that no one expects that it was like a personification. Everyone think that it was like a disease. When the prince decided to lock everyone in the castle, he made a big mistake because everyone was killed inside. So he didn't have the power to confront the disease. My personal opinion is that I like this story. It's a little bit terrifying. I wouldn't expect that the disease was like a Red Death. At the beginning, I thought everyone was going to be safe in the castle and everyone was going to maybe die of hunger or something like that, but not because of the Red Death. So I think the plot is really interesting. The second story that I chose was The Fall of the Usher House. This is a horror story that starts with the narrator that comes to visit an old friend, Roderick Usher, who called him because he wants some company. Roderick lives alone with his only sister, Lady Madeline, who was sick for some time of an strange disease. Shortly after, Usher communicates to his friend, the narrator, the death of Lady Madeline. Before finally burying the body, he wants to keep it on of the bolts of the walls of the house. 7 or 8 days pass. One night, the visitor cannot sleep, so his friend appears and keep company on him. Suddenly, the doors of the bedroom open and it was Lady Madeline. As she suffered a catalepsy attack, she has been buried alive. Madeline comes close to her brother and falls dying on him, dragging him to the ground. Roderick Usher dies of terror, and the narrator, the friend, ran out of the house because he was very scared. There are 3 main characters. The first one is Usher, that is a Finnish man, sick old man. He is like weak and sickly. He is cordial, sincere, and affectionate, but inspires fear and compassion. He is nervous, incoherent, and dominated by a sensation of panic. The second one is the narrator, the Usher friend. He seems very helpful and a good friend because he went when his friend needed him. And the last one is Lady Madeline, who is the sick woman, the sister of Usher, who was buried alive. I think it's a good story. I like all the complot. I didn't expect that the sister was going to be buried alive, and also why Usher has all these weird sensations. It's a good story for someone who wants to be entertained.